Hi there, I'm Andisa Kwahu and welcome to the Momentum Velocity Club podcast. At Velocity Club, we help young professionals achieve their success through personalized advice. We are going to be bringing you a series of talks by South African thought leaders sharing their personal stories and views on how to tackle the future. The aim is to learn and unlearn as we build our success together. Don't miss out on the opportunity to lean into these conversations by joining our live Q&A sessions, where we will come together as a community to explore and solve. Joining me today is Buhle Dlamini, an award-winning entrepreneur, futurist, and author. Buhle is passionate about helping people unleash their greatness, and he will be speaking to us about what this means in the current lockdown period that we find ourselves in. Thank you for joining us, Buhle, and welcome. Please talk to us about how we can become the best version of ourselves in a changing world.
Thank you very much, Andiswa, for that introduction. As you heard, my name is Buhle Dlamini, and I'm based here in Canada, in Nova Scotia. I've been here for the last 6 years. You're probably wondering, what is this Zulu boy doing in Nova Scotia out of all places? Well, I'm married, and my wife, Stacy, is from here in Nova Scotia originally. We got married about 18 years ago in South Africa, and we lived there in South Africa until about 6 years ago when we decided to move to Canada to be closer to this side of the family. We are planning to go back to South Africa, and initially we were planning to go back later this year. But with the current crisis, we don't know how that's going to look like, but our plan is still definitely to go back to South Africa. So I want to talk to you about unleashing your greatness in unchanging times. And yes, we are finding ourselves in unchanging times. The future will catch us by surprise. The future will catch us by surprise unless we think about what it is we need to do today in order to own the future. And yes, unfortunately, the future has caught us by surprise. Bill Gates was asked a few years back what the next decade will look like. And so this is what he said in 2015. He said, I think there will be more changes in the next 15 years than there's been in the last 50 years. Now imagine that. That's exactly where we're finding ourselves. He also went on to say, at that time in 2015, just after the Ebola outbreak, he made a TED Talk where he warned the world about the fact that, yes, we avoided or we missed a bullet with the Ebola, but a pandemic will come that will shape the world in a way that we may not be ready or prepared for. And that's exactly what has happened. And so the next decade into the 2030s is going to look very, very different from any before. And it's really about understanding that we are finding ourselves in a current crisis. As I'm speaking to you, you are probably watching this not at the office, but in the comfort of your home because you've been in a lockdown. So what is life going to look like after COVID-19? Well, this disease has come and shaken the world. It started in a city in China and spread very quickly in a space of just a few months, spreading from China then into Europe, Italy, and Iran, and then quickly spreading to the rest of the world. It has affected us in South Africa. And as you know, we have been under lockdown. And so it's going to be a tough new normal ahead. So let me then share with you about unleashing your greatness and tell you a little bit of my story. I grew up in a rural village in northern KwaZulu-Natal. I was raised by my grandmother, Mandela. And it was my grandmother who helped this young man understand that it's not where you come from that counts. It's not your background that counts. It's what's in you that counts. It's what's in you that counts. And as that great Scottish poet, John Parkin, put it, that our task is not to put greatness back into humanity, but to unleash it, because greatness is there already. So I would like you to think of yourself as that Coke can, and your job is to shake it up and release the greatness that is within. That is what we have to do. So what are some of the keys to unleashing your greatness that are still going to be relevant even post the pandemic that we're facing right now? So to unleash your greatness, you need to be who you be. In other words, you need to find your distinction. You need to pursue excellence, live your values, unleash your winning attitude, and create the future. So when you look at that first key, be who you be. I know it sounds wrong. It sounds like wrong English. I'm sure some of you are saying, yeah, we know that he had Bantu education, but was it bad? Well, yes, while it's bad English, it actually has origins from somewhere. I love traveling, and when I'm in the States, I enjoy hanging out with African Americans. And instead of saying, be who you be all you can be, or be what you can be, they say, be who you be, man. They put a twist on things. So this phrase is very powerful because be who you be means that in order for you to unleash your greatness, you need to embrace who you are. And don't just stop there, go on to embrace who you can be. I found that early in my life, to unleash my greatness, I had to embrace who I am. Many of us have faced many challenges. I myself, when I was growing up, I lost both of my parents to HIV and AIDS. And I speak about this because I know that many people have dealt with challenges in their lives. And we need to get rid of the stigma that's often attached with the things that we've faced, because it's those things that have made us who we are today. So embrace who you are, embrace who you can be. We often sort of like spend too much time comparing ourselves to others. So you need to find your distinction. Find out what is it that sets you apart. And don't waste your time comparing yourself to others. Who are you comparing yourself to? Don't answer that. But here's my story. When I was in high school, I know what I'm talking about. Because when I was in high school, I'd won a science project for something that we had done at school. And someone from the education department was going to come to my school and present the award. And I did not want to go on that stage because of my shoes. Now I know some of you know what I'm talking about. But before you feel too sorry for myself, consider that in my school, I wasn't the only one that was facing that challenge. Actually, in my school, more children actually didn't even have shoes. But the moment that you were put on stage and set apart from everybody, that would be the opportunity for people to make fun of you. And I remember not wanting to go on stage, and my grandmother asking me what's wrong when I got home. And I told her I won a project and I'm going to be presented an award, but I don't want to go on that stage because of my shoes. And she said, it's okay, we'll sort it out. And went to speak to my grandfather. And my grandfather pulled out his special shoes. You know those two-toned ones? The ones that he used to wear as a young man in Kofifi in Johannesburg, with his Stetson hat. He pulled them out and says, try these on, son. I tried the shoes on, and you know what the problem was with the shoes? They were a bit too big. So my grandmother jumped into action, stuffed some newspapers in front of the shoes and said, try them on. I tried them on and they fit. But then she said, how do they fit? And I was feeling sorry for myself. So I said, they're okay, Coco. And some of you know what I'm talking about. And right about now, it's going to be easy to feel sorry for yourself as you think about the challenges that some of us are dealing with and so on. But you have to remember these words from my grandmother. She looked me straight in the eye and said, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Remember that it's you who's going to be on that stage and not all of those other young people you're comparing yourself to. If she could have said it, she would have said, be who you be, man. And so you have to choose greatness. I love Muhammad Ali because this is what he said. He said, I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. So if you're going to unleash your greatness, you need to choose greatness. You need to step into your greatness and be who you be, man. The second key is pursue excellence. If you are going to unleash your greatness, it's about pursuing excellence, moving from good to great. So that means you need to say, good enough is not good enough. I know for many of us, before the pandemic, before the crisis, it was easy to coast sometimes and just do good enough. But as the world has changed, we are going to need to put a little bit more effort than what others are willing to. As Dyer put it, it's never crowded along the extra mile. So if you want to be on the league of your own, you have to go on the extra mile. You've got to do more than what others are expecting you to do. and you've got to step out of your comfort zones. And so this means, as Aristotle put it, that if you are going to unleash your greatness, it's about that understanding that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. So make it a habit to pursue excellence. The third key is about living your values. I'm very passionate about values. What tends to happen when we face a crisis, it's very easy for us to think about shortcuts and ways to get to our success. I'm a co-founder of a values initiative in South Africa called Heartlines. We used mass media and television and movies to challenge South Africans to live their values. Some of you will remember our series back in 2006, where we produced 8 films that focused on 8 values for a national conversation. And then 2009, we had another series again. And then we've had films and movies, and with the latest one being Beyond the River. Nelson Mandela agreed to be on the opening sequence of our initial films. And I remember I was so excited about meeting Mandela. Now, I had met Mr. Mandela about 2 years before this time. But this time I was going to meet him and I was going to work with him for a day. And I remember when he walked into the room, I had been checking and making sure that my tie and my suit was looking good. He walks into the room and he says, "Oh, young man, good to see you again," extending his hand to shake my hand. And I remember thinking, there's no way Mandela remembers who I am. And while I was still thinking that, he says, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "You are Nelson Mandela. Of course I remember you." But I think this is something that Mandela used to do to a lot of people. He always made people feel like they were the most important person in the room. It was his values that shone through. Maya Angelou put it this way: our values have a way of coming out in the way that we act, in the way that we do things. She said, people will often forget what you said. People will often forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. You see, our values need to be ingrained in our behaviors, in the way that we do things. Our values need to shape our behaviors. For me, values that I live by are very, very simple. Be humble, be authentic, be influential, and be loving. And so this guides the way that I act in business. This guides the way that I engage with customers. This guides the way that I act with people. And it shapes my culture. It shapes my behavior and my performance. Then fourth key is about unleashing a winning attitude. Right now, your attitude is going to be everything. Your attitude needs to be a winning attitude. Even in the midst of the challenges that are going to come your way, you need to find a way, because your attitude determines your approach to work and life. And your attitude is a way that you will respond to whatever happens to you. We don't choose what happens to us, but our attitude is that way that allows us to respond to whatever happens. When I came to Canada, one of the challenges that I faced was that I came to a place where people could not even say my name. I'd come from a successful business, a successful career in South Africa and around the world, and I'd come to a place where they would be trying to introduce me and they'll say, "Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is Boo, and then they'll say, "Well, let's just welcome our African friend over here." Now, I know that might sound funny, but the truth of the matter is that I found myself in a place where all of a sudden, everything that I'd worked up to this point became irrelevant. And I had to choose a winning attitude. I had to say to myself, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to become even more successful in this environment. And that's exactly what I did. I went on to become a successful speaker here in Canada, in the US, in Europe, in Asia, and all over the world, because I chose a winning attitude. So attitude is like that thermostat. The thermostat tells the temperature what it needs to be. Your attitude needs to tell you what you need to be. So your attitude is like the internal thermostat that determines, controls your internal condition, and in turn affects your output. So lastly, to unleash your greatness in these changing times, you need to create the future. As the world changes, we need to be the ones that understand that right now is an opportunity for you to create something even bigger for yourself and unleash that greatness. While we are facing a crisis, we need to dream bigger dreams. It was Victor Hugo who put it this way: there's nothing like a dream to create the future. So I challenge you, dream bigger dreams. Think about what is it that you are going to do as you go into the future. Look and scan the horizon, look at what is happening, and make sure that you are positioning yourself ahead of the curve. Give up your excuses. No excuses. Give up your excuses and seize the opportunity. Seize the opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of that opportunity. So, in ending, take this from me. The words from Alan Kay: the best way to predict the future is to invent it. Here's an opportunity for you to craft a new life, to craft a new career, to craft a new reality for yourself through this crisis, and to unleash your greatness and be who you be, man. Thank you very much, Andiswa, and for you who are watching at home. And I hope that we take this message to her. Thank you.
Be who you be. That was very insightful, and it got me excited. I have a few questions for you. The first one being, what is something small and practical that I can do today, tomorrow, and next week?
Yes, thank you, Andiswa, for that question. It's a very good question. What can we do practically starting from tomorrow and today to prepare for the future? I would say use this time to prepare yourself for the new normal. By that, I mean, go out and learn a new skill. Go out and make sure that while others are playing, you are growing. So right now, you can sign up for new courses. You could be studying at Harvard. You could be studying at Yale. You could be studying at great institutions from around the world. You go on Coursera.com and you'll find free courses, short courses that you could be doing in this time. So also make sure that you are reading every day. So what are you reading? There's articles that you could be reading that are going to make sure that you're positioning yourself ahead of everybody else. Read new books, learn a new skill. And so use this time to be practical and find new things that you can do.
Well, the message is clear. We need to use the time that we have now to reinvent ourselves and make sure that we learn as much as possible while we do that. You spoke to us about your community and the importance of family to you. With your roots in KZN, you are no stranger to the concept of Ubuntu, the responsibility that we have towards those around us. How do we balance helping them when they are in need while focusing on our own success?
We do have responsibility to other people. And I know this because I have family in South Africa. I have extended family that I have to think about even during this crisis. Growing up in a rural village, we're raised to believe and to know that umuntu ngabantu, that you don't succeed by just looking after yourself, but that you always have to be lending a helping hand. So in the middle of this crisis, it can be a big challenge for many of us, especially because I know the whole thing with black tax and all of that, it can be a challenge. How do you secure your own future while trying to help? So these are some of the things that I would suggest that you do. Consider that help is more than just financial help. Find other ways to help. So go out and use your time, use your talents, use your connections and your networks. Help people in more ways than one. And always make sure that you don't risk your own future while you're helping. So here's a challenge for all of us as we think about how we can help. And secondly, I think it's important for you to remember to practice saying no. I know that's difficult for some of us. I know it's hard for me, especially when it's family members or people that I know their story and I know what they're going through. But you have to practice saying no. Decide beforehand what you are going to do and stick to that. You're not going to help anybody by putting yourself in jeopardy. You're not helping the one you're helping, and you're not helping yourself. So that's what I would say. We still have to help, but let's just be smart about how we do it.
Very well said. We aspire to develop to become great leaders, lead in our communities, industries, and professions. What does it take to become a great leader in a post-pandemic South Africa?
Yes, we're here because we want to develop as leaders. And post the pandemic, South Africa and our communities and our world is going to require leaders to rise up, and that's you. And so here's what I'll say. Be an influencer. Leadership is not just about the position, it's about influence. So use your influence to take people to a new place. And also be a positive voice. People are going to need hope. Be that person. Be the one that gives them hope. Be the person that is a positive voice.
On that positive note, in every crisis lies great opportunity. What are some of the opportunities that you see ahead of COVID-19?
Yes, there will definitely be opportunities past this crisis. But here is what I want you to do. Do not be one of those people that profit from a crisis, that profit from people's pain. Don't be that person. Rather be the one that helps, be the one that help people through a crisis. People will always remember the ones that help them in tough times, the ones that walk them through. There are some businesses who are doing a great job in offering support to their clients during this difficult time, and those clients will be loyal to them in the future. So find ways to add value. Don't just profit from a crisis, but add value, meet the unmet needs, and do good. And so you will find that by helping others through this crisis, you will actually create success for yourself.
Excellent. And I completely agree. As an entrepreneur yourself, you must have faced your fair share of challenges. What is the advice that you can give to small business owners who want to reposition their businesses and set themselves up for success?
Advice for small business owners and entrepreneurs. This is an opportunity for you to start from a clean sheet and reimagine your business. You have to think about what are some of the things that you have to let go and what are some of the things that are non-negotiable, some of the things that make you stand out. So you have to be who you be. And so that means being very clear about what you're going to hold on to and then what you're going to let go. And so at this time, also look for unmet needs and make sure that you are the first one to market in trying to provide new solutions.
Those are some great ideas. Thank you for your time, Buhle. The future will catch us by surprise, and indeed it has. But one thing remains the same. We are who we are. An important part of Velocity Club is creating the platform for engagement, and that is why we are excited to be hosting Buhle for a live Q&A session. The details on how you can join us can be found below. In the meantime, we'd love to hear from you, so please leave your questions in the feed and make sure that you RSVP to secure your spot. To get in touch or find out more about Velocity Club, you can click on the link below. We look forward to partnering with you for success in your career, finances, and business. It's goodbye for now, but we'll see you in our live stream next week.